You may have forgotten that we existed because we haven't done a show in a while, but this is the indie-mation conversation.
Indie. Indie-mation.
Animation.
Indie-mation. Conversation.
Talking about movie pictures and cartoons and whatnot. I have I think that's supposed to be cheering, but it also sounds like you've put a child doll into a blender.
You see that? I did the cool it. The font was cool it, and everything stopped. Hi, guys. Welcome to our show, the indie-mation conversation, and the conversation continues about indie-mation.
It does.
Yes.
So what are you talking about today? It's been forever, Jim. I feel like I haven't seen you in a long time. I need my fix.
Here's the thing. This show, and we've got a few folks on. Hey, by a few folks, I mean Paul Pate. Yeah. He's dozing off. We might have to have Paul Pate jump into this conversation too, because he has a point that I want to bring up. And I know he's far away, so maybe we bring him in sooner rather than later so he can go to sleep. But today's topic is the all-important topic of clout. Clout, what is it? Especially when it comes to what we do. In our case, animation, but this could also be applied to whatever creative endeavors you are into. What is clout? Like, what is it? I mean, is it achievements? Do those gain you clout, or does reputation? Is it a mix of a lot of things? What does it mean to you?
Clout is that app that came out about 6 years ago, right? That measures how good you are at social media.
So we're sponsored by them now, right?
Yeah. And the way you know it's a cool app from like the 2000 teens is they spelled it with a K.
Okay. Well, my app's going to be called the iClout.
Yes, iClout.
No one will confuse that with anything. So
nope.
I'm working on that. But I bring this topic up for a selfish reason. And Paul, if you're out there, perhaps we can invite him in a moment.
I sent him a link if he wants to join us. So.
If you want to join, Paul, great. If not, then you'll just pay the $2.99 that we charge people who don't join us. So I say this because recently, in the last year, I've had some of my films on Amazon. I've got them on Amazon. I have that written down as a goal, one of my goals on my bucket list to do. And it came true. I have had 4 projects, or I have 4 projects on Amazon right now. But the thing is, I started thinking to myself, I look at my numbers on my YouTube subscribers, and I look at the amount of effect it's had on my life. And besides being a really positive thing, and I'm very, very appreciative, and I'm enjoying it while it lasts, it really hasn't made that much of a difference. I'm thinking, does it give me clout? And if so, what is this clout? And how do I use this clout thing?
Like, you can still go to the grocery store and not get mobbed by...
Barely. Yeah, when I leave the house, it's mayhem.
Just wear a big floppy hat and giant sunglasses, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. So and I know with you, Cory, you've won 70,000 awards or so,
something like that, or
for
5.
your short. If you actually have a clip of your short, maybe as I'm talking, maybe you can play some of it, and I'll voice over it. But
I think I even have.
Oh, there you go. Yes, that's clout right there. That's clout times 17 right there.
Actually, I'm missing a couple. That's an older graphic.
Yeah, that's because that's humble clout.
What's funny is I thought it was over, and I just got an email last week, and they're like, "Hey, thanks for being in our festival." And I was like, "Oh, thought all those had already played."
And again, if Paul Pate is out there, Paul is also the same scenario as you. He put his very first animated film out, and it won a huge award in Michigan. And right out the gate. So I want to know, do these achievements or these awards. And I've won some awards. I've won some stuff, and I've been on television and stuff like that. But it's like, really, what does that exactly does that get you? What does it net you? And how do you use it? That's the most important thing. How do you use whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, if you're looking at, I thought, well, you know, whatever. It was kind of fun. I didn't think it would do too much for me. I had people start introducing me as people started introducing me as an award-winning animator, and that felt weird. Like I was like, don't do that. But the interesting thing is, after doing that stuff, and in certain circles, it's kind of like being published, you know, or, you know, in academic circles, the equivalent of, in my field, of you know, like a double-blind research study or academic paper being published or whatever is probably something like that, where I'm playing in festivals and I win some awards and things, and it was in academic circles where I was introduced as an award-winning animator, and I thought, oh, that's kind of bizarre. But it helped, and I mean, I think I've landed some a lot more high-paying gigs since then than I had before. But I don't know how much of that is due to how much of that is due to that, and how much of that is due to just, you know, people see that I'm animating stuff now, because I've been doing it for 2.5 years or something. I don't know.
Well, that's the question too. If you put your heart into it.
Yeah. If
you put that out, which is the name of Cory short, and it hadn't won a single award, but it's still the same quality.
Sure.
Does that affect anything, or does it affect nothing?
I know the current music video I'm working on that I'm wrapping up. She's referencing EndoXO when she's like, oh yeah, just, you know, what you did here with the bearded guy and stuff like that. So I don't even know if she had seen Put Your Heart Into It, which is the one that won awards, and I didn't submit EndoXO to anything. And so I don't know that she really cared about that. So I'm not sure if it made a huge difference or not. I know, you know, having things be juried and having things be judged, there's something to that, but also, you know, it didn't go to Cannes. It didn't go to, I don't know, nothing big. It's not an Emmy Award winner. I think if you looked at the awards that it won, you probably wouldn't recognize the names of any of those organizations. Average Joe off the street, you know. So I don't know. I'm what do you think?
I think, and I had brought this up in a comment on the Artcasters. I think some of it's to kind of nurture our own ego, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a way that kind of sustains you to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels good to get recognized and to make certain advances. And it kind of it's like an athlete. It builds muscle on you, but ultimately, I don't know. I don't know if I used to think, and I still do, I would always much rather have a cult following than be widespread following of people that aren't as much into your stuff, but there's more numbers of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have a smaller number of people who are really into your stuff. And that's kind of like, be careful what you ask for, because that's kind of what I have.
Yeah.
It's a small number, but the people that like my stuff love my stuff.
Yeah.
And the goal is to like increase that. It's to find other pockets of people. I think, to answer your question, I think the direct result that you and I are getting from it is the ego thing. I think it definitely is. I think.
Yeah, I would agree, and it was very validating. It's kind of weird to talk about, right? Because we're supposed to like pretend.
Well, here's another thing too.
Invincible person.
In case the audience doesn't know this, and I've seen this firsthand. Yes, Cory is horrible at talking about himself in a positive manner and bragging. So he doesn't like it. He kind of deflects a lot of times, but we're going to force him to talk about his successes tonight. And Paul loves his ego. And Paul, if you want to jump on, feel free. But I know. The reason why I asked this too, Cory, is because
to disprove you, I'm going to spend the rest of the episode cradled by some awards.
Just the rest of the show, like that.
Carry on. These aren't heavy.
Just make an outfit, sew them on the shoulder pads. That would be great.
They're so heavy. They're weighing me down with their.
So Cory, before when you had submitted, put your heart into it.
Yeah.
And it hadn't won a single thing, hadn't even been accepted in anything. How does your feelings about what you actually did differ? And I'm going to put myself on mute while this freeway chase goes by.
How does it differ from before I submitted it to now? Well, I think a couple things. One is it was extremely validating to have people I didn't know, because a lot of people I know are always like, oh, it's great, and I'm like, thank you, but also I wonder, we're good friends. Like, are you just saying that because we're good friends? So like people that don't have a reason to tell me that something is good, and then they tell me that it's good, that's great. That felt great. And it was a great push into the next project. I think that was good. I actually had to force myself to actually spend time marketing it and putting it out there, because what my typical thing is, like, make something, toss it out there, move on, make the next thing. And this thing, I made it, and I planned, like, okay, I'm going to spend like 6 to 8 weeks without making something and just focus on marketing this and getting it out there. And then it won some stuff, it got placed in some festivals. COVID hit, which I think kind of hurt it. But before COVID hit, I had over a 40% acceptance rate. And then magically everybody stopped accepting it as soon as everything got locked down and shut down. And then now that everything is opening up, it seems to be playing in some festivals again. So I don't know what's going on with that. But there's also the time thing. So like it's won a bunch of awards. It's great. I love it. It also got some negative feedback, as you do with different things. But now it's been a year and a half or something. And I can see the flaws in it a lot more now. And so it's great. And I like it for what it is. And it's a time capsule of where I was a little while ago. I could do it faster and better now. And so I look at all of that, and my feelings of it are kind of like my feelings of a lot of things. I enjoyed it. I think it's good. I like what I got out of it. It's old now. I'm kind of tired of it. And I want my newest thing to be the thing that people are interested in talking about, rather than this old thing that I did a while ago.
Yeah. So right now at the filming of this, today we got the numbers for one of my Foreverland, Counterclockwise in Foreverland, sci-fi funny film that I did, is on Amazon, and we got the numbers for that today, and they're huge. They're way more than I ever thought they would be. I won't give the exact number because they're not my numbers to give. It's the distributor's numbers. Right. But I will say, if you go find it on YouTube, look at the views that it has on YouTube and quintuple that at least. So cool. It's more views than I've had. I think if you added every video I've ever done up, it's got a lot of views. I don't know what that means comparatively. I mean, Amazon's very unpredictable. And I'll give an example why. Because something we just submitted to Amazon, a film I did a couple of years ago called All That Glitters, was a series turned into a film, got rejected. Not rejected for technical aspects, but rejected for what they said, licensing. We cannot figure it out. So the distributor is looking into it, but it says on there you can't appeal it or anything. There's nothing sampled in there, and there's nothing that is not licensed by myself in it. So I don't know why they've never seen that error before, and I've never seen that error before. So
that's interesting. I wonder if they ran into a conflict with Spotify, because I mean, you wrote all the music.
Maybe that would be weird if it's my own stuff. I don't know.
You're tripping yourself up.
You know what? The same thing happened. It's the same scenario though as Foreverland though. So Foreverland soundtrack is on Spotify as well. But anyways, so that was kind of a bummer, and it got me thinking about clout. It really did. That's kind of triggered this. I'm like, well, I guess I don't have enough clout. I guess the numbers that Foreverland's doing, and before that, Master Freak Theater, a series I did, is on Amazon, and that got really good numbers. Foreverland's doing way better, but it also has really good numbers, and I guess that doesn't make any difference. I don't know, but you know, I think when you have name recognition and you're able to make other people money, I think that is the most powerful form of clout. Yeah. I really do. When you're able to make other people money, you definitely have clout. The other kind of clout that you and I have is we have indie clout, which is just like, wow, those guys are really sticking to their guns, you know. But indie clout, you can't buy a cup of soda with indie clout.
No, so. But other broke people really respect it.
Yeah, exactly. But
I mean, you don't have no clout, right? When you're talking about clout, let's define that for a minute. Are you talking about like the power to open some doors, or have some conversations, or make stuff happen, or brag on the internet to all your friends? Like what is the in your mind? What does it do?
Clout is, there's different kinds of clout. It's like it's like you said, it's kind of pull. It's kind of but does that mean pull like, well, I could be on Artcasters whenever I want because I have clout. You know, that's Artcasters clout.
Yeah.
Or I could go to the White House and just walk right in. You know, that's a different kind of clout. Yeah. There's, I guess, all kinds of different kind of clout. But to me, it just means you've got enough weight behind your successes or your notoriety or your name that it, like you said, it opens doors. That's to me what clout is. It opens doors. There might be people that to them clout means reputation. They might not ever want to leave the house. They don't care about opening doors. They just want a reputation, or they want to be perceived a certain way, which is, it could be like that's false clout or shallow clout. There's all kinds of clout, but I just know that I know that my clout doesn't necessarily get me on any network I want to be on, you know.
But you are in a position where you can submit stuff to Amazon. You know what I mean? Like that's, and you've gotten, what do you have? 4 shows on there now?
I have 2 films, a short film, and a series, which is 10 episodes. So a bunch of cartoons on there. So yeah, I'm thankful. You know what? Another thing too, I know it could be gone tomorrow. There's no control with Amazon. And if it is gone tomorrow, I'm thankful that it existed and it was there, and it checked off something on my bucket list. I'm enjoying it while it's there, but I feel like it's out of my control. Yeah. And and this is, I was trying to get 5. I was being greedy. I was trying to get a 5th, and I still will try to get a 5th thing on there.
All that glitters is so funny.
Yeah.
They'd be missing out to not have that. But you're also on Tubi, right?
Yeah.
I watched Revengeance on Tubi.
Revengeance films on Tubi, and it's on Amazon. It's on both right now. So yeah, so everybody, give me more. By the way, everybody, give me more clout. Just go watch my stuff. Go search my name on Amazon and just put my stuff on a loop.
Yeah, just dedicate like a Bitcoin mining server. Just dedicate a computer to play Jim stuff on a loop.
I don't care about the environment. Come on, guys.
We should just set up blockchain viewing for somehow. Let's include blockchain into our next book.
So Cory, does your ventures into animation and illustration outside of work, does that get you clout at your work? Does it bring you a certain level of acceptance because of what you've done outside of school?
Be in a very limited sphere,
Mm-hmm.
kind of narrowed by topic. And so when people are looking for like industry relevance, being able to say like, hey, here's a thing that happened, or I do this. I mean, it's known that I am actively working on side projects all the time. In fact, I mean, like it's legally known. Like I sign paperwork at work to make sure that I retain the copyright to that, and so I have like a working agreement with my employer. And so, I mean, it's like, known as high up as the administration, all the way down to me at the bottom of the totem pole. And with students, I think it helps too, because and that's kind of for me the most important thing. Not that I want to like, I don't like beat them over the head with it or anything, but being able to say, oh yeah, last night as I was working on this thing, I ran into a similar issue that you're working on right now, and here's what I did, or I've had clients that do this, or I've got I've got this, that, and the other thing going on, and that helps. I think especially in like applied fields, like if I was like I'm trying to think of an example of something that isn't applied, like what is philosophy? If I was like a philosophy teacher, you know what I mean? Like, or if I was like an ancient history teacher or something, being able to say, hey, look, I made a short film. Who cares? Right? But like in my field where I'm teaching like visual communication and stuff, being able to say like, I have done this, I continue to do this. I will continue to do this. These are some things I've done recently. This is some stuff I did 10 years ago. That really helps the students to understand and relate to like how it works and the relevance. Because I think a lot of people, especially in academia, immediately discount what you're saying unless they believe that you have clout, you have some sort of right to say it. You're speaking from some kind of experience. So anyway, Chris says we have sweet indie street cred type of clout.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I actually staple that to my jacket. It just says I have sweet indie street cred clout, and then people don't beat me up in the street. So,
one of the questions I had too was, do awards, are we conditioned as Americans that awards equal clout? Yeah.
I mean,
I think we are.
America claims to be a meritocracy, right? I mean, it claims to be, like we still pretend like it's capitalism, and not some mutation of the oligarchy of tech. And so, like in that, if you go like invisible guiding hand of self-interest stuff, then in theory, the people that do a good job rise to the top. And so there's a certain level of like outside reinforcement of the value that you bring to the table. I actually think the value that you bring to the table is intrinsic, right? I think in reality, the value of art is intrinsic to the art. And that's why like NFTs and stuff like that are kind of like, it feels weird and empty, and it feels like this weird money grab. And it feels like the Emperor's New Clothes type situation where everybody's pretending like there's
that's only because it is.
It's only because you could take NFTs and replace them with tulip bulbs, and it's the exact same situation. But yeah, I do think. I mean, if you want to replace clout with something else, it's perception of value, right? And so,
yeah,
since it's not actual value, it's perceived value. Then yeah, awards and screenings and things and whatever kind of are there. I don't know. Paul says, I feel like I pay let me put this up. I feel like I pay very little attention to clout. Am I misguided? I like to think that I like what I like based on my taste. I feel kind of the same way. I think, you might have missed that part because your connection's a little slow. You were saying in the chat, but Jim is saying that I don't talk about myself in a positive light well. So I'm trying to do that today. But I also feel like there's those puffer fish out there, you know, those people that like they take like a little bit of accolade and they like wear it as a badge and they like stick their chest and they like make sure that you know.
Oh yeah.
You know, and like I am so much the opposite of that. I would rather just like you look at my stuff and you tell me what you think. I actually kind of care more about like the random end user than I do about some committee of judges or whatever, you know. And if there's some guy in Wisconsin that's like, hey, this is great, then that's awesome. That's just as cool to me as winning an award or whatever, you know.
Yeah. I think I'm way more in line again with Paul. I agree with what he said because some of it's out of ignorance because I might not understand what it means that they've won XYZ. So it just kind of just goes into a oblivion. Oh, they're the winners of the, you know, Whiz Bang Award, you know. If I understand something and I understand the work and the bravado behind this, you know, accolade, maybe I would be more inclined to be impressed, but it's out of my own ignorance many times because I don't understand a lot of the awards that people win, and I just see them putting their laurels on things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they lead with. They lead with laurels.
And
that's the other side of my thinking. The other side of my thinking thinks it's pretty cool because you won something and it's nice. You should show it off.
So it's interesting you bring up laurels because I kind of wrestled with that, right? I was like, okay, I've only submitted one short, and so that's the only experience I have with that. I've got a bunch of other stuff that, you know, isn't worth submitting or, you know, is whatever. And so, but I was like, should I? But I didn't know what else to do with the laurels. Like I was like, okay, do I do this? And so my thought came down to, I do want people to watch this, right? And I think if you're looking at a list of, you know, things, animated shorts, and one of them has a thumbnail that's got a bunch of laurels on it, your natural assumption is going to be that, oh, some people like this. It's kind of the same thing as like if I'm going to buy something, and I see a bunch of positive reviews on that thing, well, hey, there's some social cred. There's some, you know, there's some social proof that other people at least have tried this and thought it was okay, you know? And so I kind of decided not by way of bragging, but by way of hopefully encouraging people to watch it. The laurels, at least in the thumbnail, do that, you know?
Yeah. I'm kind of jealous of people who are, who can talk about their work in a non-braggy way, in a very naturalistic way, because I think a lot of times when I'll talk about my work, my mind instantly starts thinking, well, what should I do? I should be promoting right now. I should be, but it's like not a natural feeling, but I should, this is the time I should say, hey guys, go watch this and that and this and that.
Okay, I have a question with that.
Yeah.
Were you always like that, or what were you like in your early to mid 20s?
I think I was just more consumed with creating at the time because I was just getting going. So I didn't think about things. I just did. And I was the same way. I would create something and then move on. Create something and then move on, just like now.
You're too pure for this world, Jim.
I am.
In my early to mid 20s, I remember anything that happened, I was talking about it to everybody. Like it was hard. And I even noticed it about myself. Like I remember thinking, man, you should bring that up a lot. You know, like, and I'm like, am I that guy? And I think I was that kind of like, and my reaction as I've aged is to temper that almost to the point where, you know, I don't like, people are surprised. They're like, oh, wow. How have I known you for so long and I didn't know X, Y, and Z? I'm like, why would I tell you?
I also feel I don't have a clear perspective on you, particularly because it's like we've watched you build this. You know what I mean? When it first came out, and
Right.
I love this, Chris K. But we watched you build everything, Cory. So we watched the laurels gather. And so now when I see them all, it's not that sudden shock. Like, why is this guy throwing the laurels around? It's like we watched you build this house, and now it's so many stories.
Also, I wear a shirt which covers the chest full of laurel tattoos that I have.
Hey, Chris, did we meet at Ape? I mean, I know I didn't know that's where we met. Wow. And that's a great compliment. Speaking of laurel, that's quite a compliment. So.
Yeah. So Paul's saying, as an artist, I want laurels, awards, likes, and money. And that's another way of looking at this. Like, does any of this relate to your ability to charge more, earn more, get more? And I have had experiences where at a different job, I won some advertising awards, and I got a raise. It was, and I was told in my performance evaluation that part of the reason that they offered me a raise without me asking was because I was becoming known in the community as somebody who was doing good work and whatever. And I was like, oh, it's interesting, because I won like a local award, and then I won like a larger regional thing for just some ads that I had written and some stuff that I had designed. And this is going to sound like the biggest brag.
This is the place for it.
I guess it is, but it's kind of weird. I stopped submitting to local awards because I was winning too easily, and I just felt like it was kind of weird. There was something about it where I was like, I felt like I was like, no, I don't want to finish.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
But I mean, I felt like I was competing against people who should get an opportunity to win.
Okay, I have a counter brag. I'll meet your brag and counter brag it with the same results. There's a festival. A dear friend, my friend Eddie, has this festival called the 909 Festival, and exact same thing happened. I don't know how many years in a row I would win these awards, and finally, like around the 5th year, I was like, I just play my stuff, but it's not in submit for, because it's starting to look like a fix.
Right.
And there's some other fantastic films. Like, I don't know if I deserve to win every time. I deserve to win a couple times, but
that's when you should be invited to be on the jury or be the.
I was. By the way, have a laurel for Chris K. His laurel is the most handsomest man in comics. So it's true. Google him.
Chris is saying, I think you strive to be punching up rather than punching down in competition. Yeah, and that's what it felt like. I felt like I was. It's because I'm not in a big market, so I don't want it to feel like, I don't want it to sound like I was doing something incredible or whatever, because I was in a really small market and in a remote area. But it did feel like I was kind of like beating up the kids that were like 3 or 4 years younger than me in grade school.
Along the lines of Clout, you can attest to this. So Paul earlier said, yeah, as an artist, I want laurels, awards, and likes, and money, like especially money.
Sure.
But you can testify to this, and I can a little bit too. When you get money and you're not getting the feedback of, or satisfaction of the, I guess, the praise or whatever, it is kind of empty. Yeah. It's not satisfying. I mean, unless it was an obscene amount of money, then maybe. But even larger amounts of money, where like I've done projects in the past where I was making less money than I am now, and I remember thinking, this one project is like 30% of my yearly salary that I make in my day job, you know. And still by the end of that project, I was like sick of it. Yeah. And then, you know, at the end, and then I don't know what happened to that money. I made my mortgage payment. You know, it's not like you get to, like, money is necessary and it's great. And I do appreciate clients that pay well, because they're the only clients I deal with anymore. But at the end of the road, there's something better for
like I'd rather cover my bills with my day job and then do what I want. And then because when I win awards for client work, I'm kind of like, cool, yeah, I hope the client likes that. But like when I win awards for like personal work that I wanted to do that nobody else had a hand in, or that I was guiding the creative direction or something, like that's, I feel like, more validating to me as a person, because like an award for client work is just showing like Cory is good at following a creative brief, like, look, he is, and a lot of it is advertising. And it's like, look at how great he is at subtly manipulating people with visuals. And so it's like, I would rather almost have people say like, hey, I didn't think about that thing before. Like I watched your thing and then I started thinking differently about something. Like to me, that's has a permanence that's much more long lasting than money. You know?
I my thing is, I like it when people ask me questions or reference like deep cuts within my like that really shows that they really watched it carefully. That means more to me than the generic, like, oh, that's really funny, or but and yeah, Paul, I saw that. He says, yes, money can really take the fun out of it, but I think he's being sarcastic. But no, it can. It can.
No, it really can. And I it's one of those weird things to talk about. So let me give the nuanced answer here, because I think, and I'm sure Chris and Paul agree with this. I would rather be paid well than be paid poorly. So it's not like I don't like money, but there is something different about money versus other things, because you take somebody's money, you kind of got to do what they say, to a certain extent, and so it isn't as fun.
I have a question for you, Cory.
Yeah,
a question directed toward you, and this is for the folks in the chat too. Have you ever? I'm going to sound like George W. Bush right now. Have you ever capitalized? Have you ever used your capital? Have you ever cashed in your clout for anything? It's a good question.
Anything like to trade it for something, or to use it to bargain?
To use it to unlock something, to get something you want, to achieve something you want, to associate with someone you want. That's a very good question.
This sounds, man, I'm so uncomfortable talking about this right now.
Okay, I'll start.
This whole conversation. I got a good one. So every time I'm contacted by somebody who wants to pay me to do client work, I start the conversation with, I'm not the most cost-effective person in town. I might actually be one of the more expensive people that you're going to talk to about this project. And then I say, but you're going to get what you get, and this is what I bring to the table. And actually, at least the last 2 or 3 years, most of the time they try to convince me rather than me trying to convince them. So they're like, no. I understand I'm going to pay more. I'm coming to you because of, and then they talk about some project or something that they saw me do. And they're like, I know you're more expensive. It's an interesting way to frame it. I think that probably has something to do with clout, or I'm just old. I could just like, they're just like, well, you've been around for so long that you must be, whatever, So I don't know. I don't know if that counts as part of that, but I do begin most conversations, because I actually kind of would rather them pay someone else to do it, because I just have such limited time.
Well, in your job, you can ask. You don't feel funny about asking for certain resources, I'm sure, because you have clout because of what you've delivered and the time you've been there, the combination of your results and your tenure there.
And that's been every job I've ever worked at. Asking for resources has never been a problem.
Yeah. So I don't look. I know you are really humble when it comes to the amount of time you want to talk about yourself. You are very humble, but I think your inner confidence professionally is for sure. I get a sense of that. Like, in other words, nobody's going to take Cory for a fool.
I don't. There's something ironic about claiming humility, so I don't know if I am humble or not. but yeah, I'm not a pushover.
Right.
And so, yeah, when it comes to when it's important, I use the tools and experiences that I have to get what I need.
Yeah.
So-
I'll say this publicly. I'm a horrible businessman. I feel like I'm a horrible negotiator. However, I'm very good at being quiet when I need to be, and they don't know what that means sometimes, so they'll offer more. And I do the Peter Sellers thing from Being There. Yeah. And yeah, because when I open my mouth, that's when I think my value lessens sometimes.
Oh man. So what about you? Do you trade in your clout? I want to not talk about me for 5
Okay,
minutes.
yes. Let's turn the attention to Jim now.
I'm gonna even do this. Just slowly.
I want full screen, please.
There we go.
Hold on, my lamp is in the view. Okay, that's better now. I can only think of small examples for like, and this is the only reason I'm throwing this out there because it is a humble brag, but I don't care. But I made a film with Bill Plimpton, and that's a huge deal. And I appreciate it, and I know other people do too. And there's been times when, for example, when we were in New York, and Bill took me to there was a convention going on there at the Javits Center, and we went to there was like I don't know if it was a VIP lounge or whatever, but of course I wasn't exhibiting there, but I'm friends with that guy. So, so I had clout. I had instant clout. They didn't know who I was, but they just knew that I was associated.
Right.
And he's great about introducing and making sure. So I've noticed through him that there's perception is a huge, huge deal.
Right.
It's a huge deal. And so I think he would set me up many times so that the perception was a positive. People would remember, like, he's with me. And that's ongoing to this day. He'll do things like that all the time when he talks about me, or, he's really, really generous with that.
I saw you on one of his live streams when he was promoting something. I think he had something on a crowdfunding thing, and he had you on for a few minutes. He had a few of the people that he had collaborated on.
Yeah, he's super generous. So he recognizes clout.
Yeah.
Also, this is an actual thing that happened. He would ask me my backstory. What's your backstory? And and it's my backstory is super plain. It's like there's
grew up on a farm in Kansas.
Yeah.
Montana.
and I mean, to me, it's plain. Everyone's got, their family. I have crazy people in my family, and there's drama and there's this and that, but everybody, it's what everybody has. But as far as my professional backstory, it's not like, wow, it would be, he used to say, like, it'd be cool if you could say, like, if you're from, you used to draw in a back alley and behind a biker bar and used to work on your cartoons there. And, and that's where you saw all these characters. And so like everybody's got to have a cool story, all artists. And I know this too, also for a year I ran an art gallery, I co-ran it in Pomona, California. And I noticed that all of the artists had to have these crazy like stories and one word names. And like, you couldn't have an artist come and name, Bob Torres,
Right.
And if you did, Bob Torres had to have pink hair, because Bob Torres with this hair and these clothes is boring. Right. So you have to
the backstory can't be like Bob Torres's parents loved each other and are married to this day, and there's no abuse, and he's had
that's no fun. I mean, I think that goes across all walks of life. When you have a non exciting and unexciting to a lot of people upbringing, then you have to kind of like dig and fish. I mean, like I said, everyone's got things in their life, and then everyone's got a story, but some people just want the story out front. They want it like nobody brags about being I'm from the suburbs and my parents are still married, and
right.
Yeah.
That's what this is the exact reason why I hate writing bios. You know how like
I'm right there with
like,
you.
Give me your artist bio. I'm like,
Yeah.
I have a motorcycle
Yeah.
and I'm kayaking. I don't know, what do you want?
Chris brings up a great point here.
Oh, good origin story is good branding.
Yeah. And then Paul says the people at the comic book shop gave me my Yeah, I was there when that happened. They gave him his comic book this week because we were with Bill Plimpton. No charge. You've touched this man. You know.
I was about to make fun of this whole like origin story bio thing, but then I'm recalling the opening sentence of my what do you call it, cover letter for the job that I have now. I literally started it with, from a very young age, I realized that I was going to die. That was the opening the opening statement of my cover letter.
Yeah, I have a friend that runs real art galleries in LA, and he does like the ones where they sell paintings for $30,000 and stuff like that, and it's all like a lot of it's like modern art.
I love the face that you made when you said modern.
Yeah, but and I used to ask him, man, like these artists, they sell, because he used to tell me this painting's from Toby, spelled THOBEE, number 9. It's like it can never be, a boring name. But anyways, I used to ask him, okay, me, my stuff that I put out, just in the broad spectrum of things. What type of branding do you think I should have for me, my persona? Like, what do you think? What would help sell things? And he told me, he said, well, you're kind of like, and these are his words. He goes, you're kind of like the everyman, like a Tom Hanks type, like a nice guy. You're a nice guy but you do this really bizarre serial killer work, blah, 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 blah. And that got me thinking, it's like, what if my work's not weird enough? Then that means I'm screwed. If I'm middle of the road and my work's middle of the road, it's like, nobody's going to want to drive on that road. So, but I don't, when I create, I don't think about that.
Yeah.
I do not think about trying to add to, like, well, I have to be weirder, or I have to be this, or I have to be that.
That's something I think is really important to this discussion. At no point in time in anything I've ever made have I thought, what's going to win me the award? If I do this or this, which one is going to, like, I may think which one is going to be more interesting, or which one is going to be more engaging. Or Paul just said,
yes,
Bill Cosby of indie-animation.
He said, I am the Bill Cosby of indie-animation. Thank you very much, dear.
That is not a compliment. Bill Cosby, maybe before everybody figured out who Bill Cosby was for real.
Hey.
But yeah, I mean, I do think there's something hollow if people are making decisions based on, like, well, this is going to win me the award, or this is, like, I'm going to do this because I think the judges at Cannes are going to really like blah, 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 or whatever. But yeah, that never crosses my mind after the fact. And this is probably why I don't have much commercial success in a lot of the work that I've produced. It's because I don't think about that at the beginning. After the fact, I'm like, how should I market this? And then I get bored and I go do the next project.
Yeah. When you have to tell your origin story over and over and over, it does serve you to have a really good origin story, or you have created one. And I've seen that many times, people in interviews where they have to tell the same story over and over, who they are. With me, it's always the same story, but it's like I start from a different point every time. And it's like, it gets a little bit, I don't think it's that engaging, but it is engaging. Don't get me wrong. It's just not that engaging. But,
I mean, I can tell. I could see. Here's the thing with me with this. I don't even know if we're on topic anymore, but I can tell a lot of interesting stories about myself. I don't know that any of them have anything to do with anything. I've almost died so many times that I've just got this backlog of. I was on with Josh the other day, and and he brought something up and then laughed and said, I bet Cory's got a story for this. And I did. It was like, but like none of that is like influenced what I make, you know?
Well, every week, Cory, it seems like every week you have a story where you almost die. It just seems, I can think of maybe one time in my life where I have a story like that.
No.
Like a great white jumped out.
I'm sure there's more.
Got you on your kayak.
Yeah, it doesn't happen to me a lot now. I'm really boring in my 40s, but like
you have danger clout.
There you go.
Yeah.
I do. This did happen the other day, and I thought this was funny. Speaking of clout, somebody was saying something online that it was a conversation I was not involved in on Facebook, and one of my friends said, and they tagged me. They said Cory Kerr has strapped himself to the front of a train and stood on the landing gear of a flying helicopter to get the shot that he wanted. Maybe you should ask him. That was their way of saying, I'm gonna inject Cory into this conversation, and so that he knows what he's talking about and that he's an idiot.
The other day, I took a little white pill, and I was pretty sure it was an allergy pill.
That's
and I
great
still
to get
don't
into
know.
a story.
To this day, I still don't know if it was an allergy pill or not.
Did you accidentally take ecstasy or something? I'm not sure.
But I can tell
it may
you.
have been an allergy pill, but also the walls started melting.
Yes, I can tell
and
you
my
how the
lamp
universe
began
formed.
talking to me.
Yes, and I can tell you the beginning of the universe too. So
right.
So, but I got that. I've got street clout now. So
yeah, there you go. Yes, that's some cred I don't have.
Yeah. When I proposed this to you, the clout talk, what were some thoughts that went through your head? Like what were you thinking I was thinking, or what were you thinking about the topic?
Okay, this is the way my brain works. I immediately thought of the thumbnail that I would draw if I was going to draw the thumbnail. And I'll tell you what it was.
What was it?
It was you with like a cartoonishly large club, right? Like a giant club that said clout written on it. And me with like a broom handle that was broken at the end that said clout written on it. That's what I thought, is the two of us standing there and you with like a 20-foot long, like Captain Caveman style club. I thought that would be a funny.
I want a T-shirt now. Which is really ironic because next week I think Josh is going to read a book by Dan Clout. So it's going to be pretty interesting.
My initial thought was I'm really curious to see what Jim has to say about this because I have no clout. That was my initial thought.
Yes. Well, what spurred this on is the rejection from Amazon. Actually, we were going to do a show anyways. Remember, we said last week, because we haven't carry a big clout.
Speak softly and carry a big clout.
I like that. Last week we had kind of really said, like, we really need to do a show. We haven't done one in a while. Let's just do one. Plus, I missed you, Cory. Man, I missed you. There's always a Josh, Scott, and sometimes Gary Hodges in between us.
Dude, you got to just jump on, man. You're welcome anytime.
You know what? Really quick, I'll just say this for the record, and this is no joke. 9 times out of 10, when Artcasters is on, I'm listening on an earbud and half asleep in bed. So
I think people would enjoy the half asleep ramblings of Jim Lujan.
I really would sound like Bill Cosby then. Here we go, and the clout.
If you think I am long-winded and tell weird stories you should see me when I'm really tired.
Yeah.
I do not get quieter or less verbose.
So I think we are pretty much. I think we're summing up this topic fairly well. I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
What have we learned?
What else to say about it? We've learned that I should probably go jump off more tall things so that I have better stories in my 40s to tell. And
I shouldn't take pills when I don't know 100% sure what they are.
Did you like find it in the street? How do you know?
I have this little. I wish I had it with me.
Little guy walked up to you with
it's a little plastic thing that
jacket.
Advil comes in, but like the travel case. You buy it in an airport.
Because you're 87 years old, you have your pills laid out.
And I put new Advil in there sometimes, and I can go months without taking an Advil. Like I don't usually take them, but I keep it in my bag. So my wife was very smart, and she said, you should put a couple allergy pills there too, because as I get older, I'm starting to get allergies. I never had seasonal allergies. But anyways, so I went months without ever even thinking about it. And then the other day I had like I could tell it was an allergy headache, and I just felt horrible, like allergy stuff. And I was like, this is not usual for me. I actually need to take something. So I opened it up and I went, that's when I was like, I think those are allergy pills.
I love how you're just like, I reached into my back pocket and pulled out this bag of random pills. And I took the one that I thought was
either that's a lithium battery. Or
there's also some Lortab in there and a couple tabs of acid.
I was like, either way, things are changing right now.
The closest I've ever gotten to have any street cred with narcotics is I drank so much Mountain Dew one time that I gave myself caffeine poisoning. I had literal caffeine poisoning and almost died.
I can vouch for that, Cory. My dad was an LA fireman, and he told me a story about one day he was coming home from work. They work 24-hour shifts. And he was driving, and his vision started. And this will be a learning story for you kids.
Yeah,
his vision started narrowing, and pretty soon it was like a little sliver. And he drove himself to the emergency. Right when he got to the emergency, blind, 100% blind. And he got out of the car, and they're like, "Sir, are you okay, sir?" And he's like, "I can't see my eye." They took him in. Doctor started talking to him, probably doing tests and stuff, and saying, okay, what did you do the last 24 hours? What did you take? What did you do? My dad said, I'm a fireman. We've been at the station. I've had like 30 cups of coffee.
Right.
And the doctor said, wait, did you take any allergy pills that you thought weren't? No. He said, the doctor said, you know what? You have caffeine blindness. There's such a thing as caffeine blind. So he started giving him drinking a lot of water, and it flushed out of his system, and it literally did the reverse. Yep. His vision came back. But there is such a thing as caffeine blindness. So you could have died, Cory. And how much Mountain Dew did you drink?
Okay, so I was driving from Idaho to California, which is about a 17 to 19-hour drive. And I just forgot to eat because I was poor and 22. And so I had like a chicken sandwich that morning. And then every time I would stop for gas, I would just buy a 2-liter bottle of Mountain Dew and just absentmindedly drink it as I drove. Like, I don't know if anybody's ever driven through Nevada, but there's nothing there. There's like a 5-minute blip where you see Vegas. It's like Mesquite at the beginning and Prim at the end. There's nothing else. It's like a useless state full of just land that can't be farmed. It does nothing, right? And there's that one trailer that's like 200 miles away from anything that's being lived in, and I always want to stop and meet that guy, but I'm pretty sure he'll kill me. So that's why he's living where he's living. But anyway, so so long story short, I ended up drinking over 6 liters of Mountain Dew in a
6 liters, like 3 2-liter bottles.
3 2-liter bottles. I have a problem where
you could have got a DUI.
Right. Well, I began to hallucinate a little bit. So it was on an empty stomach, right? Because I had like half a chicken sandwich that morning. And then I drank 6 liters of Mountain Dew over the course of about 8 hours, and then
did God look like a skateboarder?
Also, I should point out I don't have a tolerance for caffeine. I don't drink caffeine. Like I'm not a coffee drinker. I don't really. So it's not like a normal person who has a coffee every morning to get them going, or a latte or something. Like, I have no tolerance for it. I just do it when I did it. I don't do it anymore. I did it when I was driving long distances by myself to stay awake. It worked because I saw a semi-truck, and the lights on the top of the semi-truck in my mind translated to an overpass that I needed to drive under.
Oh, not good.
And I thought, So I started driving diagonally towards this semi-truck, crossing multiple lanes of traffic to go under what I thought was the overpass. And then at the last second, I was like, that overpass has wheels and walls and is actually a truck. And so I swerved out of the way. And then I remember thinking, okay, so that was when I started to distrust my perception. And then I said, okay, so I'm going to be very aware of what's going on because I'm going 80 miles an hour right now. And I looked at the lines on the road and I remember thinking, I know those lines are supposed to tell me something, but I'm not sure what they're supposed to tell me. Like normally you think, like, okay, these lines help you decide where your car is on the road.
Yes.
But I was in such a delusional state that actually the lines of the road started to like cross over each other in front of me.
Wow.
And so I was like, all right, I probably need to pull over and take a nap. So I pulled over in a Denny's parking lot and I was laying in the cab of this truck and everything was just vibrating because my eyes were just going and I couldn't sleep. I couldn't close my eyes.
Oh, that's ugly.
And so there's no rest. Also, it also didn't help that I had been in a car accident about a week earlier. And so I didn't have a driver's side door. Because it had been hit. That's
what did you have? Did you have tape?
I had duct taped visqueen, like that plastic painter's tarp. And so for almost 20 hours, all I heard was just right 6 inches away from my. And so I was
Is that the day you met your wife and she fell in love with you when you were getting out of the car?
That would have been such a great story. No, actually, the day that my wife and I kissed. My motorcycle blew up in between Mesquite and Las Vegas, and I was stranded on I-15 for quite a long time.
By the way, I'm never ever going to get on a plane with you. So,
yeah.
So Leanne just walked in, and Leanne, Cory's just telling me about the time he OD'd on Mountain Dew. So, it happens. Sounds like something I would do, she said.
It is the lamest. It's the lamest thing that you can OD on.
Oh my God, how many?
6 liters.
What?
That's the proper reaction.
How many? And what amount of time?
How long were you driving for, Cory?
So I drank 6 liters in the first 10 hours of that trip.
10 hours.
Oh my God.
And I don't believe he's even alive now.
I will tell you a worse story that's in a very similar vein, much faster. One time I had this project I was 24.
No, we're still on. Sorry, go ahead, Cory.
That's okay. So one time I had this project and I was working on this thing, and so I was going to pull an all-nighter. And not because of this all-nighter, but because I'm stupid and there was a sale. I had recently purchased 3 2-pound bags of peanut M&Ms because they were on sale. It was like a buy 3 for X amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
I absent-mindedly overnight ate 6 pounds of peanut M&Ms.
Oh my God!
Because I was just working on the thing, and you pop a couple in your mouth, and then you get into that creative kind of like flow state, and like time doesn't mean anything anymore. And then I looked over and I was like, oh, that's not good. And I had actual like withdrawal symptoms for like 3 days after that.
Oh
I had the shakes.
And this was over one night? Over one night?
That was from 8 p.m. to 10 a.m.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's how we got our clout.
That is how I got my clout.
Cory, if you could
try to kill myself with dumb foods.
Post the last 2 comments and then we'll sign off because they're beautiful. Paul says, yes, he's listening and he's fully asleep. These are good origin stories.
See, the next time somebody wants an artist bio from me, I'm going to say, well, this one time I OD'd on Mountain Dew, and another time I ate 6 pounds of M&Ms. It's kind of like those indie comic book artist bios. There's like real artist bios in comic books where they're like so and so went to the Academy of blah 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 blah, and then there's like the guys that are like, this is stupid, I'm in indie comics, and they're like so and so has a big head. It's like there's nothing useful.
How about we end this with my quick origin story? 5 years old, Lake Arrowhead, California. I got assassinated by my mom's side of the family, the Lopez family. My cousin shot me in the head with a BB gun as I was running down a hill because they were shooting at a target, and I asked to shoot the gun. And then they said, Jimmy, if you go find the BBs and bring them back to us. And I ran, and in slow motion, just like Kennedy, I got shot in the head and blood everywhere.
Oh, man.
The end.
My next artist bio is going to be Cory looks quizzical, but actually one eye is just higher than the other. That's going to be in totality. That's going to be my artist bio statement.
All right. Well, I think we've defined our clout, and I think we have more clout for this episode. And it was a very fun time. So thank you, Cory.
Yeah. Well, it's good seeing you again. And
you too. And Cory, where can people go to find your wonderful cloutfulness?
Oh, if you want to watch the animated short that we were talking about, I am allowed to show it now. And so you can go to corykerr.com and it'll be right there. If you click on what's new, it's there. Or I think it might even be like the header graphic of whatever. So you can go there and watch it for free and be kind of slightly depressed about it.
Which I have watched it for free. So.
Yeah. And I appreciate people who do that. Right. Jim, where can we find your stuff?
Go to jimlujan.com. That's pretty much a one-stop shop for a lot of my YouTube stuff. And if you have Amazon, go to Amazon. You know what? I will ask a favor of the viewers. Leave a comment or leave a review on Amazon.com online. If you go there and you type my name in, all of my projects that are on there will come up. If you leave a review, maybe they won't cancel me. So
yeah.
So that's about it.
Are you being canceled by Amazon or canceled by cancel culture?
That's not yet. No, the cancel vultures haven't canceled me yet. So.
Good stuff. All right. Yeah. Well, thanks for everybody who's watching. It was good to have you guys in the chats, and go check stuff out. And there's no schedule for this show, so the next time Jim and I feel like hanging out, we'll do another episode.
We'll do it, yeah, because we have the clout.
Because we can, and no one can stop us. We're too powerful.